What's up, my wizards? It's Dev from SBMTG on the YouTube.com. Down there with Light Magic, here with Ziggy, who you guys haven't seen in a while. You alright, buddy? Yeah, you're kind of sleepy and grumpy at the same time. Anyway, we just hit 50,000 subscribers here in the past week, and that's crazy. That's like the population of a smallish to mid-sized town. So we're doing pretty good. I figured that I would celebrate today. Oh, buddy, what is that? That's the sweetest thing I've ever seen. Anyway, I figured we would celebrate today by answering some more of you guys' questions. I get a lot of questions every freaking day through my email from you folks, and I figured I would take some time and answer some of my favorites, or the ones that'll explain lots of important things. So let's go ahead and start. Ziggy left. Julie's here, though, and she's cute as a button. Look at you. Anyway, I've got like 20 some odd questions that I want to answer here, and I want to do it all fairly concisely so the video's not half an hour long. But there's like a few questions that I get asked all of the time, sort of the top 3 or 5 questions that I get asked all the time. And I can go ahead and answer most of those in one fell swoop here. First of all, playtest videos, SoundCloud, and Patreon. All 3 of those I discussed in my last Q&A video, so I'll annotate that right here. You can click on that thing whenever you're ready, and I'll answer a bunch of those questions for you because the answers are all pretty much the same, except for, I guess, Patreon, because it's getting a little closer to Patreon time, and I figure I'd sort of divert to you guys on this and ask you in the comment section, how do you feel? Is it time to start a Patreon? Because honestly, I feel like I'm sort of limited by my equipment and my software options at this point. There's a lot of stuff I want to do. I've got plans for the channel. You know, I think that like skits and comedy and stuff like that done right, and deck techs with comedy could really be, you know, sort of the way for Magic. I think it could change the game if you can get comedy right, but I am really limited in a lot of ways, and I'd like the channel to grow and get better. So, and for that to happen, I may have to have a Patreon to sort of just fund getting better equipment, which you guys have asked me about a lot of times. So that the answer on Patreon's changed a little, but again, I'd rather really have your opinion on that. So down there in the comments, let me know how you feel. Is it time for Patreon? Another thing that sort of relates to that is that people ask me all the time what my existing equipment setup is right now. Right now I'm using a Logitech C920 webcam that records in 1080. And I'm using a Blue Snowball microphone to pick up my lovely voice. So that's what we're doing right now, and that's what we've been doing for probably like 3 or 4 months. At this point, but you know, it's the webcam records in 1080, but it doesn't pick up movements well, and the conversion causes there to be sort of a slight delay between the audio and the video, which you've pointed out. You have pointed that out, so I'm sorry. You know, so the camera could be slightly better, and the microphone could probably be a little better too. But right now, this setup works for me, and it's a whole hell of a lot better than the iPhone 4 that I was using when I first started the channel. Another question I get all the time is, why don't I have a Twitter? Well, joke's on you. Totally have a Twitter now. As of tonight, by the way, I just started a Twitter, 50,000 subscribers in, so figured it was probably time to do that like 40,000 subs ago, but we finally did it. It's SBMTG Dev on Twitter. Look me up and follow me on that. I finally get to say follow me on Twitter. Yay, tweets is another thing that I've been getting all of the time lately since we got a Modern Masters preview card is, are you getting an Amonkhet preview card? I don't know. I simply do not know yet. Hope so, really do, but don't know. I also get a question along these lines kind of a lot. It's like, what sort of tools do you use and what rules do you go by when you build a deck? Well, first of all, rules are for suckers. Rules are for suckers. And one of the comments that the kind of comments that I hate getting are like, you know, basically things like, why are you, one-ofs are terrible, why ever play one-ofs? Stuff like that. I'm actually thinking about doing a video where I go and explain why you play 1 and 2-ofs in a deck. And you know, why you play certain number of cards in your mana base, and how many counter spells you're supposed to play in control versus how many removal and, you know, game winning options. There's a lot of like sort of deck building math videos, you know, that I want to do, sort of deck building theory. But I do still think that rules are for suckers, and that a lot of the better decks in any given format are circumventing the rules of deck building in some ways. So don't ever think that just because like some MTG writer says like you have to play 20 creatures and you have to play a certain number of spells, you have to play 8 removal spells, you have to play 24 lands. It's all a bunch of bumpkus. It's ridiculous, and the situation will call for different numbers of cards and different cards entirely depending on what you're building. So it's not that there are no rules, but rules are not the end all be all. So not everything can be sort of put into a box when it comes to deck building or anything in life for that matter. What's your favorite deck in Standard, both competitive and budget? Well, my favorite competitive deck right now is probably Mardu Ballista. I just really like Mardu. It's like my favorite 3-color combination, or one of them at least. And I think Mardu Ballista is really stacked with like all the best cards in the format. Mardu Ballista is probably my favorite competitive deck. Why are you freaking out, Julie? You gonna leave? She's gonna leave. See you later. Anyway, my favorite budget deck right now is the Mono Green Cryptolith Bestiary deck. That deck is really, really awesome and super fun and hella cheap, and it's got a lot of great combo pieces, and Lightcrafter's Bestiary is just such a fun card. So, yeah, I highly recommend that one, just for fun factor alone. Why don't you do more formats? Well, I'm looking into it. Like, people want to know what is my actual reasoning for not doing more formats. Is it a views thing, or is it a knowledge thing? It's actually all of the things put together. I have done Modern and Pauper and deck techs like that before, but the view count is fairly low, and that's not the only reason that I don't like doing those videos. A big one is that I am not as knowledgeable on any of those formats as I'd really like to be. I know a little bit about Pauper. I've been studying that a lot lately, the last 6 months or so. And I'd like to do a lot more Pauper content, to be honest with you. I just think that's a great format that needs as much exposure as it can get. But, as far as Modern goes, that's a format that I really, really need to know more about before I just go telling you what to do. You know what I mean? And Legacy I know nothing about. EDH I'd like to do more about, but need to, again, learn things. So, there are definitely things I want to do. And this is something else that I want you guys to sort of, I guess, vote on in the comments section. Tell me if I could do just, any one other format every now and again, what would you want it to be? If you could pick just one non-standard format to see a deck tech in, what would it be? I'm really interested in your responses because I like Pauper, I like EDH, but you guys might want more Modern. For all I know, you might want Legacy or Frontier. I don't know. So let me know. What are some non-MTG hobbies that you have, Dev? Because we want to get to know you. Well, I sort of legit enjoy cooking, but I really also like video games, obviously, and I'm a news junkie. I wake up and check like 5 or 6 different sites every day. So I'm not really on Facebook too much, so I actually go to a bunch of news sites, flip through all the stories and stuff, because I have to know what's going on in the world. I think it's very important that you do. Who are the greatest all-time wrestlers ever? I actually, in my last Q&A, I said that Mick Foley is my favorite wrestler of all time. I'll stick by that. But there's a bunch of other ones that I really like and should at least bring up. I love Shawn Michaels. I love Ricky Steamboat and Ultimo Dragon, with the best reason to watch WCW. Way back in the day. I like Taker, I like Rob Van Dam. There's just like a million really good wrestlers. I've got like a bunch written down over here. I like Bret Hart. Bret Hart is fantastic. And then like somebody that I really like nowadays, even though I don't watch a whole lot of wrestling, I mostly watch like What Culture and Wrestling with Regret and like wrestling YouTube channels so I can keep up. But somebody that I really, really like from modern times is Bray Wyatt. I think that guy's awesome. Julie's back, by the way. I told you she'd be back. But anyway, another question I get a lot is if I could do one not MTG video, what would that content be like? Well, I know exactly what it would be because I've been thinking about just going ahead and doing it for a while here. But it's just like, Dev's, or I guess my top 10 RPGs of all time. Old school RPGs are my absolute jam. I enjoy them as much or in some cases more than I do a good game of Magic. So I've been really wanting to do some content along those lines for a while, but very sparingly because we are definitely an MTG channel. But there are times when I want to branch out into video games, and that would definitely be the first thing I did. What's your favorite DBZ fight ever? That's a really good question. I really like Teen Gohan versus Cell. The end of the Cell saga. I like a lot of Cell saga fights actually. I like a lot of Vegeta fights too. There's some overlap there. I like Vegeta versus 18. It's awesome. I love Vegeta versus 19. That's just a hilarious fight. And I also like Vegeta, Super Saiyan God Vegeta, I guess, versus Gold Frieza. That's a fight. What are your favorite MTG creature types? It's Hydras, Spiders, Wolves, and Cats. Those 4. Hydra, Spider, wolf cat. That'd be a hell of a creature, by the way. A hydra spider wolf cat. We should do that. But anyway, another thing that I get asked surprisingly a lot is because, I mean, it's obvious that another non-MTG hobby I have is music, because I do a lot of that, but something that gets asked of me an awful lot. Here's a series of music questions. What is my favorite, like, guilty pleasure music? First of all, I don't think there's such a thing. I think that a good rule is that if it sounds good to your ear holes, you should listen to it. And you should not really care at all what anybody says, or if it's too popular. Like what? Dude, just listen to it if it sounds good to your ear holes. Like you don't lose your integrity if you like a song. It's freaking ridiculous. Like if you're really into music, then you just enjoy music. Like there's country that I like. Like I grew up with like Garth Brooks, and Garth Brooks is awesome. You never know. Like I'm a huge fan of the Spice Girls. So, like, don't be afraid to like a thing just because you think it sounds good. I'm also a big fan of, like, J-pop. Like, anything from the Initial D soundtrack, period, I really like. But I like, idol pop from Japan. So, like, I just like happy music, too. So, J-pop is a thing. Like, anything chiptune hits my ear, like, right in the nostalgia spot and just, like, melts me. So, I really love anything chiptune, too. But the basic rule to remember here is if you like it, listen to it and don't care that people don't like it. Who cares? Who's your favorite rapper? Well, in the last Q&A, I said it was MF Doom, and MF Doom is still like model MC, favorite rapper easily of all time. But I actually wrote down a bunch of them this time because I keep getting this question. Just some people that have inspired me. It's Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, Beastie Boys, Busta Rhymes, Dre, Snoop, Pac, Biggie, all of them. Eminem, MC Chris is a big inspiration. I love the Fugees. They only ever put out The Score, but it's one of the best hip-hop albums of all time. And I really like Charles Hamilton, too. He's a relatively obscure MC, but really an awesome one. For whatever reason, like a bunch more people ask me this than should. I've had like 4 people ask me in the past. What do you think are the best bars that you've ever personally written? My favorite lines from anything I've ever done are, it's clear, we come from different ages, realization come in stages, leave them spellbound like mages. I run the enemies like medieval knights with maces, many spaces above you like outer spaces. Rapping, what's the highest power level deck that you've ever reviewed on the channel? Well, it was probably, don't hold my feet to it, it's probably like 6-8 months ago, something like that. Maybe not that long ago, but I can't remember. Anyway, it was Nia Walker's that scored a 71. Total power score. And that is a really, really high score. And that deck was actually very, very good. But that deck is still sort of an example that the power rankings are not all there is to a deck. You know, they're like control decks, for instance, usually score like 66s and stuff, 66, 67, but control decks are often the best decks in the format. You know, so the power rankings are not the only thing you want to go by. They're not the end-all be-all or anything. But to answer the question, Nia Walker's. What are your favorite Magic sets of all time? Also in the last video, I said that Urza's Saga is probably my favorite set of all time. Just the whole Urza's block is insane. I love that whole time of Magic. So that was great. There were a lot of broken cards. There was a whole rash of restrictings for the first time in a really long time. When that set came out, I loved Urza's. So many broken cards. And I'm sorry, I like broken cards. I also really, really like Tempest and Mirage. You know, I like 4th edition, like obviously I like Revised and everything before that too, but I really, really like the construction of 4th edition. I like Lorwyn an awful lot. You know, I like Return to Ravnica. There's a lot of good sets. What's my day job? I've had this question phrased to me as where do you work, which I'm not going to answer that directly, but I am a server. I serve tables in the daytime, which is actually a perfect job for a YouTube personality because like I work, you know, maybe 4.5 hours a day, 5 hours at the most. I make fair money, at least. You know, sometimes it's not great, sometimes it's better than others. But it really frees up a lot of time to be able to do this and do other stuff for the channel and not have like a huge obligation and people that are calling me when I'm not at work trying to get me to do stuff. It's just like, it's a really, you know, it's a fairly, I guess, low stress job. When you're there, it can be fairly stressful, but it's one of those jobs you can leave and just like totally forget you even have it and concentrate on what you really want to do. So you only work a few hours a day, you know, you get a paycheck and tips and all that. So it's just, I think, the perfect job if you're in this business. You should look at the camera more when you're talking. Shut up, I'm awkward. What color are you as far as MTG is concerned? I've already said that my favorite color is blue, and I like to at least think of myself as blue, but like everyone wants to think of themselves as methodical and intelligent and cunning and all of those things. Everyone wants to think of themselves as that, but if I had to choose, I'm probably like blue with a splash of green. Splash of green. How did I meet my wife? I've gotten that one a lot recently, a couple times recently. Because you may have heard me say in an older video that got like barely any views at all. That I met my wife through Magic, but she doesn't actually play Magic. But you may have heard me also say in a couple other videos that I used to be with a play group. It was me and a few other dudes that all pooled all of our cards together. By the way, if you have people you trust, I highly suggest that you do this method. We pooled all of our cards together. And, you know, all of our F&M winnings and stuff, all the packs, we just opened them into this big pool of cards that we all built decks out of. And we went to SCG Opens. We went to, you know, PTQs and every F&M in the area. So that was really fun for a while. And it was through this play group. Shout outs, by the way, Sonny and Andy and Joel and Fish. You all know who you are. And it was through Fish that I met my would-be eventual wife. You know, he brought her over to my house on, I guess, a date, sort of. Like, they were talking at the time, you know. And my house was sort of the base of operations for the whole Magic outfit at the time. So he brought her over to meet the gang, you know, and I thought she was super cute and intelligent, and I liked that a lot. And I didn't, like, steal Jesse's girl. I didn't do that. But he, you know, he ended up talking to his ex-girlfriend who was really into, and just sort of stopped talking to this other really attractive, smart, funny girl. So I ended up getting in touch with her on MySpace. I can't remember who actually got in touch with who first. It was you? It was you. I'm sorry. But it was her. She got in touch with me on MySpace, and we ended up talking, and it was like months later we got together. She came to my house. And then she didn't really leave. Like, I think that for the past 8 years, we have spent like 4, maybe 5 days in total apart from one another. And that's like it. Is it. We just, you know, she gets me, and that means that's hard to find. That is hard to find. So, you know, I love you. I love my wife. And that's how I met her, through Magic. It can happen. Do I like X Nicktoon? More Nicktoon questions. Like the one most recently was Rocko's Modern Life. Yes, I like Rocko's Modern Life. Do I like Hey Arnold? Yes, I've mentioned that I like Hey Arnold. It's maybe like top 3 best Nicktoons ever. Do I like Rugrats? Even though I don't talk about it often, I wear a Reptar shirt every now and again. I wear a Reptar on Ice shirt every now and again. I love Rugrats. Do I like Cat Dog? Not really. Do I like Rocket Power? I give it a 5. Do I like All Real Monsters? A 7. Yeah, you know. So that's how I feel on various Nicktoons. What are some non-MTG YouTube channels that you like? I get this one like tacked on to other questions in emails like all the time. So I've written a few of these down just because YouTube is my cable. You know, we have Hulu and Netflix, but we don't have actual cable. And I watch like probably 80% of my television watching is YouTube. So I've got a few of these written down here. I like What Culture Wrestling and Wrestling with Regret. I've already mentioned them. Another shout out. I like Game Theory and GT Live. I like Matt Patton. He's a guy. I like Cracked a little bit. I like Movie Bob and Jim Sterling. I watch them a good bit. I like all manner of news channels. I like 7 or 8 different news channels right now. And one of my favorite things for the past couple of years, and I actually do this a lot when I'm editing or when I'm getting materials ready to edit and converting videos and, you know, writing descriptions out and stuff. This is when I'm doing various editing stuff that I don't have to have, you know, I don't have to be listening to myself for. I often listen to these like scary stories from Reddit channels. There are like dozens or even hundreds of them on YouTube at this point, but there are a lot of them that have a bunch of subscribers, and they're just really gosh darn great. I like creepy stuff. I like creepy stuff an awful lot. And if you just type in like scary stories from Reddit, you'll find lots of these readers. And they're some of my favorite things to listen to on all of YouTube. What video games are you playing right now? I just finished Final Fantasy 15 not too long ago. I am always playing Undertale and Stardew Valley, apparently. And I just started Hyper Light Drifter, and it's awesome. And what are some MTG YouTube channels that you recommend? I get this one literally all the time. Like, what other channels do you watch? I get that a lot. You guys know I'm a fan of Wedge. I'm a fan of The Professor, but everybody knows about them. But you should also be watching MTG Goldfish. Seth over there at Goldfish is one of the best deck builders online right now. I feel fully confident saying that. If you like me, you'll like Seth too. So check out Goldfish. And I like Kevin at Rogue Deck Builder. I don't always agree with everything he has to say, but you don't have to like somebody. I think that he's got just a really good mind for the game. in a lot of different angles. I think he's a good deck builder. I think that he knows how to attack a meta very well. And I think that he's good when it comes to financial advice for the most part, too. So I like him. And I've been getting into alpha investments a little bit over the last couple of weeks. I like Rudy as a guy. I think I was on the fence at first, but I think I'm coming around to Rudy. I like the guy. That's all for now, but this video comes out on the same day as the bannings, if there are any. I don't know if there are any yet, so I'm recording this on Sunday night. So this video comes out the same day as the at least banning announcement, so I will probably see you guys a little bit later on today if you're watching this the day that it comes out, because who knows? Who knows? People are saying that Heart of Kirin might get banned. People are saying Scrap Heap Scrounger. People are saying Sakili or Felidar Guardian. Like, it could be anything. So I'm really excited to see what happens. I'm really excited. So, you know, stick with me. If you're watching this, then there will probably be another video on the bannings or non-bannings a little bit later today. But in any case, I think that's all I got for now. Let me know how you felt about the video down there in the comment section. Like if you enjoyed it, share if you want more people to know random stuff about me, and do the other stuff. Subscribe. Subscribe, hit the bell. You got to sub so you get that top 10 RPGs of all time, right? You got to sub for that. And I'll see you guys later. I'm Deb from SBMTG. Thanks for watching, my wizards.